Oh my goodness. That's unbelievable. It's like a fondue in a burger. Wow. That is one of the best things I've ever had. That was ridiculous.
Hit it.
My first Juicy Lucy was at Blue Door Pub.
I was at Matt's Bar, which is like the goat of Juicy Lucy's.
I had my first Juicy Lucy when I was 12 years old.
I came here to Minnesota 31 years ago. It was the burger everyone said you had to have.
People always say, well, isn't Juicy Lucy just basically a double cheeseburger with a cheese salad? No. How dare you? How dare you? I don't come to your house and tell you how to run your household.
It's a very simple idea. We looked at a cheeseburger and said, what if we put that cheese inside?
That first bite was a little too soon. And so I was like, I'd gotten a warning, but I was like ravenous at the time. And the first thing I felt was just like searing heat from the cheese.
It's like, like a kid when mom goes, don't stick your finger in there because you get electrocuted. What's the first thing you do? You're like, eh.
There's molten lava inside. It's gonna drip down your face and just like spray everywhere. And yeah, and you're gonna like be in pain, but it'll be worth it.
Do you wait before you take a first bite of pizza out of the oven? No, everyone risks pizza mouth and everyone thinks you gotta blow on it.
I call it the in blow, where you're like, you're trying to blow on it, but you're trying to like in the air,
But once I got through that, the flavor of the cheese between those two patties was unprecedented for me. I love cheeseburgers, so this was different and unspectacular, but for some reason like perfection.
It is Minnesota's most prominent food export to the world. I'm not talking about Betty Crocker or Cheerios, although that might fit. We're talking about the Juicy Lucy. There is dispute about just about everything when it comes to the Juicy Lucy.
This is true. People have feelings.
Have you tasted every Juicy Lucy that people debate about in this town?
Yeah, I've definitely had the prime, contenders, I would say. From 5-8, Matt's, and then of course we go over to the Nook in St. Paul. We have Blue Door.
And then lots of places put them on.
Yeah, and then there's plenty of locals who do their own and have a different version, which is awesome. That's how it should be.
I like that we fight about who's first.
I know, it's weird though, isn't it?
It is weird. It seems like it should be very easy to prove this one way or the other.
Yeah.
I wonder who was first, where it originated at, and with whom.
Matt's Bar or the 5-8 Bar.
I don't think anybody really knows where it really started off or began, right? That's kind of what makes the whole thing awesome, is nobody really knows the real story. We know that we make them because people love them.
We have no stake in that argument. We'll let the other restaurants kind of try to settle that battle.
I always say I wasn't born yet, so we did research for either our 75th or 80th anniversary. We tried to find out more about what people remember from back in the day, 1950. Customers then told us that the origin was that cooks here wanted to try something different and were playing around, and one day the cheese was on the inside and someone exclaimed, well, that's one Juicy Lucy. They're all a little bit different.
We humbly and gratefully accept the iconic title. We're the original home of the Juicy Lucy. We know who we are. We stand strong who we are. And I think it's honoring when someone wants to copy or try to recreate what's been originally done here in 1954. I actually personally met Matt. He passed June in 2014. So I had some time to meet him occasionally with his wife, Donna. I obviously asked him, I'm like, Matt, was this really the place? And he was a very honest and forthright businessman. You just knew he was telling the truth. There was no other story. There's just 100% confidence that came here. I hope that we get that opportunity to speak with Donna Bristow, who's still around. She knows the truth. And you are not going to get anything but the truth from Donna Bristow.
I'm Mrs. Matt. I always have been.
Not many people knew my name. They just said, Mrs. Matt. But I'm Donna, and I'm Matt's wife. His dream was to have a bar, and Nibs was selling his bar on 35th and Cedar, and Matt was lucky enough to be able to buy it. Then he finally got his name up on the marquee, or whatever you call it, and it was Matt's. He was thrilled. He worked hard those first years, a lot of hours. He didn't know how to cook, but he got stuck cooking for a while. Just burgers. He did put shrimp on the menu, and chicken came on, grilled cheese, and we had a soup kettle, a Heinz soup kettle sitting on the bar. That was pretty much it in '54, until the Juicy came in just about a month or so after he took over.
What really happened?
Well, there was a customer that came in every day for a burger, and he was tired of it. He said, put 2 patties together with some cheese in and pinch the edges so the cheese doesn't get out. So they did, but they didn't do a very good job of pinching the edges. So when they figured the burger was done, and they gave it to him, and he took one bite and out squeezed the cheese and the juice, and he said, that was one Juicy Lucy. And the Juicy was born. This was one of the first drawings. My neighbor next door drew a picture of a burger. We needed to have something to take to the printer to make t-shirts with, and drew the hamburger, and then she wrote with a stencil, Juicy Lucy, underneath. She hadn't probably thought about the eye, but when she saw that it matched so much nicer with the Lucy, she said, let's just leave it that way. I said, okay, good deal. We took it and showed it to Matt, and he said, that's fine. And he immediately went to the menu board and took the eye out. If it's got the wrong spelling, it's not the right Juicy. That's what he used to say.
There's competition, and just because they're the first one doesn't mean it's the best one.
We are going to battle it out on the Juicy Lucy
Let's duke
today.
it. Let's just duke it out.
We have literally the Juicy Lucy Burger Wars.
It's not the best Juicy in the Twin Cities. It's the best Juicy in the world.
We are going to battle it out on the Juicy Lucy
Let's duke
today.
it. Let's just duke it out. Do we disagree?
I don't know.
I
We'll
don't know.
find out.
We don't
may
actually know.
We may or may not.
Right.
Which Juicy Lucy is better?
Okay. So, I mean, for me personally, I do have to say that my very first Juicy Lucy was my Nana. My grandmother took me when I was 12 years old to Matt's Bar, and I had my first Juicy Lucy when I was 12 years old. So I do have like a little bit of a bias, I think, for it. Now, I like the 5/8 Juicy Lucy. I like the Saucy Sally too, yeah. But the Juicy Lucy is a different consistency. I almost feel like it's like two different versions that are both equally right for what they want to be. I don't have to pick one over the other.
I Googled what's the best thing to eat in Minneapolis, and this is what came up, so that's why we're here.
It's pretty good. Was it worth a stop?
Oh, yeah.
It's not the best Juicy in the Twin Cities. It's the best Juicy in the world. Still, I think the most popular one is the American, and I would say we do 100 plus a day. It's a process to make a Juicy Lucy. We aren't obviously putting them together as we go. It's something that has to be prepped every day, and it's an art to like dome it and pinch it around. We use a good grade of beef, we use a good cheese. I think what we have done well is we've stayed consistent on the buns that we've used. You know, we get our buns fresh every day. Just trying to stay consistent and do things well, and then elaborating on those a little bit by creating new ones.
My favorite Juicy is probably the Nook. It's my favorite. And maybe it's because their fries are so good. There are so many factors that go into this.
You know, people have told us we got the most cheese in there. I think that's an important quality. Because if you lose some, you got something for your fries to pick up. I don't think we understood the type of following that burger had. I mean, we grew up having it from time to time. Didn't know it had the cult following it had until we started doing it ourselves here.
And I bet you we had it on our menu by 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. That was just the original Juicy. The way that we thought we could do it the best way, the way that we were kind of already using the products that were in-house.
We started doing the one with pepper jack. Yes, people just love pepper jack. We even made a little field trip to Matt's and watched those guys. And I remember looking at the cook and saying, God, I don't think I could manage that many burgers at once. And about a year later, I think we were doing that kind of business. Over the years, tried a dozen different varieties. You know, I think we have 4 or 5 on right now.
4 or 5 that are great.
Some are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
Well, people take it personally. Like, you know, if you disagree with them on who has the better one, they're up in arms. And I'm like, look, we're just making them for our neighborhood. If you like theirs better, that's great. But when you're over here on this end of town, I hope you enjoy ours enough to come in.
So growing up, we've had like cheeseburgers, hamburgers, and all that stuff. But my first Juicy Lucy experience was Blue Door Pub. I think I was like 15 or 16. It was like, we were visiting the Twin Cities, and I just heard about what a Juicy Lucy was. It's not the original, quote unquote original, but it was my first Juicy Lucy. It was so delicious.
Well, we think we make the best Juicy Lucy's, AKA Bluesies, here at the Blue Door Pub. The original concept was expansion on the Juicy Lucy. I think most locations that you can get a Juicy Lucy really had 1 or 2. Our flagship Lucy happens to have blue cheese and a little bit of garlic on the inside. Really simple, but really good. You've got a lot of rich, kind of umami flavor from the blue cheese. It is the one that kind of put Blue Door on the map. But we refer to any burger stuffed with cheese as a Bluesy here at the Blue Door. Everyone's got their own opinion on what the next Bluesy should be. We have a contest where we invite our customers to submit their ideas for a Bluesy, and then we put it to a vote and let the customers battle out as which one they would like to see as the next Bluesy on the menu. I'm sure we've got some other tricks up our sleeves, but we definitely look forward to great new Juicy Lucy's in the future.
I like easy energy. And when I walk into Matt, it's a really easy energy. Looks like everybody belongs there, feels safe there and comfortable there. So by the time you bite into that Juicy Lucy, it's like, oh, all of my ends are meeting, baby. It's like a perfect bite every time. And then you got the cheese in the middle. It's just like, man, I'm gonna go get one of those mugs when we finish, I think.
The whole Matt's experience is definitely part of eating a Juicy Lucy. Like, first of all, it's just kind of like hard to get into. I don't think I've ever been to Matt's where I haven't had a wait. And, and it's like, I'm an impatient person. I don't like to wait in line.
We love every single one of you, whether you're hangry or not.
There's so much anticipation when I go there where I'm just like, I'm starving and I need a Juicy Lucy right now.
A burger and fry here at Matt's Bar is one of the best meals you're gonna get here in Minnesota, hands down. We haven't changed who we are. We've, of course, added a lot of wall mounts and certificates and wonderful pictures, but other than that, it's still a pretty natural look, and we pride ourselves in that. Our meat ratio, we don't share our recipe. We get a special grind, we'll tell you that, from our local vendor here in Minneapolis, and we use a sliced piece of cheese. It's Kraft American cheese, but it's actually deluxe. I will say that our seasoning, we just use salt and pepper. It's simple, it's just wonderfully simple. It's a lovely experience.
I was on a date at Matt's. It got my wheels turning in my head. Why shouldn't everyone be able to enjoy it? Pouring it around. We are a fully vegan, plant-based burger restaurant and bar.
Juicy Lucy. Thank you.
We do a Juicy Lucy featuring an Impossible Burger. It's pretty similar to the, the real deal beef and cheese, but we also offer a black bean burger version for people that aren't into fake meat or don't want something that's really beefy. And I think that the black bean Juicy Lucy is the only one ever to exist. We want there to be, options for everybody.
So a lot of people ask me, when do you flip?
A common complaint about the Juicy Lucy is that it's overcooked.
Yes.
It's dry and burnt.
People want to create their own version of it.
That's about as perfect as a Juicy Lucy is going to get. Well, let's not lie to the people. You guys called me up, said, can we come over and talk to you about the Juicy Lucy and its importance to Minnesota food culture? And I said, let's make one instead.
A common complaint about the Juicy Lucy is that it's overcooked.
Yes.
It's dry and burnt. What do you think?
Most people are used to their medium rare burgers, which I am a definite medium rare burger.
For sure.
And I love that. But that's like, I'm also used to when you have a thin patty, you don't see pink and it's still beautiful. So I think people react and they think that way. You're not going to get that same thing, but you have a giant pool of cheese in the middle that is keeping the thing, as we like to say, moist and lovely.
Indeed.
Whether it's mayonnaise or butter, I like to put some fat on my bun. This is a pound of ground beef. Now that's 2 half pounds. Now that's 2 1/4 pound. So if you cut that into squares, you now have a total of a 1/4 pound of beef in each one of those that you can then roll that out. And what's great about that is that you can kind of go as thin as you want. What is that? Maybe a little less than 1/4 of an inch, about 1/4 of an inch. And so the whole idea is to get 2 pieces like that. Let's lightly season with salt. Some people are really big on having more than 1 piece of cheese. I kind of think that's overkill. I mean, if you're not making a Juicy Lucy with American cheese, you like cheddar, use cheddar. You like Swiss, use Swiss. I like American cheese. A little bit more sea salt, and then we hit the grill. The key is to put 1/4 teaspoon, just a shake of oil in there. I have this on high heat, right? I want to sear on high heat. Just a gentle poke releases a lot of steam. So a lot of people ask me, when do you flip? If you look down here and you start to see the heat transfer where the tiny little edge at the bottom is getting gray, I know that this Juicy Lucy is ready to turn. You can just turn that off. That's about as perfect as a Juicy Lucy is gonna get. I would like to point out to you that when this burger started, it was a 1/2 inch all the way around bigger. I want the flavor of freshly grated black pepper. Put it on afterwards. I think you're gonna be happier with the final product. Look what's dripping out of there. Beautiful beef juices. So that tells me that I've not overcooked my meat, right? Which is the important part. When it's this fresh and this good, it's like a dry aged steak. That is so ridiculously good. If you notice, I ate my way around the edge. That helps avoid the cheese mouth as well. Don't bite all the way into it. Small bites around the edge, and then you have the pleasure of that extra cheesy bite in the middle. This is Minnesota's iconic food that represents a piece of the new urban culture in our state.
Paul, thank you so much. That was incredible. That was my best eating experience in Minnesota after 18 years. So thank you so much.
it is a Minnesota icon. I mean, if you had a Mount Rushmore of Minnesota, Juicy Lucy's on it. No question about it.
It's a source of pride for all Minnesotans. You know, we like to have something that's, you know, unique that we're offering to the rest of the world.
The thing about the Juicy Lucy is that shot when you're pulling it apart and that oozy cheese that comes out. Now you have somebody on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever, and they see a shot of that, and what happens in that moment is you have something so tiny, so small like that, and you can literally connect with somebody across the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, Southeast Asia,
It kind of fits in a lot of different cultures, and it has a lot of different versatilities, and I think that is one thing that helps bind us together.
We are still kind of in shock still of all these wonderful things that have come our way naturally, organically, just by being who we are. Our businesses are equally happy for each other, and out of that rivalry that has taken place with our customers, not businesses, we really thank our customers for it, because okay, well, I'm gonna go try this one over at Matt's, or I'm gonna try this one over at the 5-8. It's a wonderful opportunity.
They'll come in and there'll be one for us and one for Matt's, and they're willing to sit together. It's a nice little rivalry.
We're just part of the legacy, that was created a long, long time ago. I think we're pretty honored that we get to be part of that.
Well, Matt had a theory too. He said, I'm selling plenty of Juicies. The Juicies are good to me. He says, I don't care who else is selling them. He was thrilled with it.
What do you think of the people who cut their Juicy Lucy's in half?
Oh, they're in trouble.